Test, test.
Hey everyone, just wanted to make an announcement that the program's going to start in the sanctuary in 20 minutes. So please eat up and we'll migrate over there in about 20 minutes. Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave Lorvik, and I will be your host this evening. A couple notes. This isn't church. You can sit down. Well, it is church, but you can't sit down front, you know. Come on down. I am privileged to gather you together and welcome you to the 2022 Pura Vida Gala Gathering. Okay, I was going to go with this is almost Church of the Frozen Chosen I grew up with as a kid, but that was okay. We'll get it up a little higher going. All right, now tonight is a hybrid event, so we're excited to have you join us both virtually as well as being here in the sanctuary at St. Luke's United Methodist Church. Now the evening is going to be a mix of live events and informational videos, so let's get started. Ken? It's happening. We're supposed to be running it. Are we doing one more? Okay. Well, like I said, this has been an interesting event with our schedule this evening. We've had a lot of improv going on in the last 48 hours, and this is one of them. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Executive Director Mark Ely.
Good evening. Glad to be here with you tonight. We have a great program. There is some improv. We lost a couple speakers. Didn't lose them, but they couldn't join us because of COVID. Still. The theme of tonight's gathering is emerging with hope. It's not emerging with caution. It's not hoping to emerge, but emerging with hope. And we're coming out of these last few years very hopeful for the future in our work in Guatemala. And things are looking up in Guatemala right now. Schools are finally returning to normal in-school, in-person programming. Local travel is resuming normally. We just had a work team return from Guatemala in October, and it wasn't exactly like old times, but it was very close, and they had a great time. This is our 19th year of Pura Vida, if you can believe that. Next year, there will be a party. But this year, in our 19th year, we've done more than we've ever done before, even in a pandemic year like this. We've built more homes. We've had more students in school. We've got more kids in the nutrition program. We've hired more of our own staff hired more of our own students as staff in our programs, which is one of our very long-term goals here. So we're handing this off to them, and it's an amazing thing. There are still some challenges ahead. We expect to see a surge of interest in our scholarship program now that the pandemic is kind of behind us. So we need to ramp that up a lot more. And not surprisingly, many children are behind academically in Guatemala. So our tutoring program, which you'll see some on tonight, we'll need to ramp that up as well. But I want to thank you for helping us get to this point, and hope you stay with us in the future. Enjoy the program.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, a few announcements to help the evening go just a little bit smoother. Now, if you're joining us on the web this evening, we suggest that you use your current screen to watch the event and then get a second screen, an iPad or iPhone, smartphone, for the paddle raise and the silent auction portion. To participate, and this is for everybody, to participate in the paddle auction and the silent auction, you must be registered at the Octria website, or you can make your paddle raise donations directly to the Pura Vida website. Now, for the paddle raise, you will find the link on there at the top navigation bar, okay, on that Octria site. Please go to there. Now, the silent auction is going on now, so it will not bother me if every now and then you dip your head down to check on what your favorite project is. And it's very easy to do, and I was noticing, I pulled mine up here, and oh, here's an excellent one. The top of page 2. It's just that easy to bid. This is the Guatemalan pure coca with cinnamon. Now, say for example, maybe that's not your thing. Go ahead and bid on it, because remember, it's for a good cause, and I'm sure that there is an MC or gala host that would be happy to enjoy that, should you not think cinnamon coca is a good thing. So go ahead and hit that. There are many, many items out there, many from Guatemala, some from a lot of the local stuff here too. So please, it's much like voting in Chicago, vote early, vote often. So bid early, bid often, and keep bidding. Okay, now there will be a change. I want to make sure it's very clear with everybody that the auction will end 5 minutes, that's this many, 5 minutes after the program ends. So we have the closing credits, and the clock starts. There will actually be a clock on the YouTube link that you'll see it count down, and the folks here, the same thing. If you're having any technical issues at all, please raise them in the live chat stream, and our amazing tech support volunteers are going to be happy to help you. Actually, it's Board President Bill Mistrella. He's working remotely this evening, and poor Aaron, basically try to keep him busy. He's unsupervised. And she's really stressing about that. Okay, so now the Octria and Pura Vida website links will be available in the YouTube live stream in the description sections. Just go ahead and hit there. Now, as Mark said, when the planning team got together to kind of work on this, they're working under the theme of emerging with hope. And you're going to see that reflected through the evening, mostly me blathering quite a bit. So before we get started with the first portion, which will be the paddle race, I'd like to introduce you to Maria and Anna. These are two students that Elizabeth and I sponsor. Okay, let's start with Maria. In her letter of March 2020, there is a very distinct change in her otherwise chipper, cheerful disposition. And I quote, I don't have classroom studies anymore. I have to do my work from home. Once a month, my mother goes to my school to submit my work. I'm working very hard so I can pass this school year. I'm having trouble understanding some of the assignments. It's not the same as being in the classroom. And also very similar with Anna. Okay, from her letter of July that year. Previously we were happy and played with our classmates, but now it is different. I have not gone to classes, only teachers come to deliver our work. In October that same year. In truth, I am finding school a little difficult because we do our assignments at home, and there are some subjects that are very hard to understand. And then in March, the difficulty is that we do not get to classes in person. I don't see this will get any better and that we can see our friends again. Now listen carefully to the next two sentences from Anna. I hope everything will be fine in school and like it was before. I am struggling with my studies and with the aim of an important profession to achieve great paths in life. There's a distinct shift there. And now, July of this year, the letters from the girls, from Maria. We have begun to receive face-to-face classes 2 or 3 times a week. We no longer have to work with guides, but with notebooks and books. I like to go to classes and talk with my friends during recess time. This week we are preparing for midterms for 8 courses. And from Anna, I am so glad to be going to classes at school 2 to 3 times weekly. It is great to see my friends again. Can you hear the shift? Can you hear the change in their stories as they are emerging from the challenges that they have endured? But these are but 2 of many of the students who, together with their families and your help, are emerging with hope. Hope in their education, hope for their futures, and hope in life. So our first stop tonight will be the paddle race. All right. So please pull out those smartphones and at home, go to the Octria site. All right. And again, it's up and running, and the link is in the YouTube if you need it there. All right. One quick note here. If you would prefer to do your donation directly to Pura Vida, you can do that. Go to their site, and that's www.puravida.org, O-R-G, okay, org, and go to the donations tab. You can use the drop down there to go to the paddle race and make your donation directly there. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to open with Aaron's help. We're going to open the first paddle race set. I'm going to open the $2,000 and the $1,000 marks. Now I'm sure you can believe that at these levels of donation, the amount of support for student scholarships, for building homes, for nutrition, all of these things is going to have an amazing impact. Now the families that we know, and families that I have met and know personally, are still struggling with restrictions. Their income that they've used to support their family, the very slow trickle of tourists coming back and buying those wares that they count on to support and feed their family, are still struggling. So while you're on this page, okay, you notice there's a blank space there that says other, all right? So if you are really feeling moved, if you are really feeling nudged to help support these projects, help support these children, this will let you go higher than 2,000, okay? So go ahead and just drop that number in there, okay? Hit it and take off, and that will be an amazing thing. All right, so now I'm going to speak directly to the board members. I see 1, I see 2, I see 3, I see several, okay? I'm going to challenge you guys right now. This is a great time to get in, great time to get started, so let's let those folks hit it too at the same time, and let's get our thermometer rolling as we get started on our target of $30,000 this year, okay? $30,000. Now as we wait for this first session of the paddle race to get going, and we'll be going through the evening giving you updates, I'd like you to watch this video for Lynn Kendig.
Hi, my name is Lynn Kendig. I'm a retired family physician, and before that I was a teacher. And I'd like to talk with you about some opportunities I've had with Pura Vida over the years. It all started in 2005 when Trinity United Methodist Church was offering a trip to Guatemala that included a medical mission. I've always wanted to do a medical mission, and they were also bringing a dental team along, and I thought that is perfect because my husband Rob is a dentist and we can do this together. So we headed out, and the way our trip worked was that we went to a different remote village every day in a chicken bus, and we had lots of volunteers and helpers along, and we set up clinics in a school building. And women came, there were children, babies, and there was even a woman who was 100 years old. Healthcare in Guatemala can be a real problem, even though everybody is supposed to have free health care. Access can be very difficult. Shortly after that, we started with our first scholarship student, Herlinda. We began writing letters, and Rob met Herlinda a few years later when he did another dental mission. Then, in 2017, I went on a project tour with Pura Vida. We went to see the John Wesley School, we went to the Nutrition Center, we saw Sister Connie, Sister Helen, we saw housing projects, and we really saw how the Guatemalan people lived. And that was an eye-opener for me. So the best part of that trip, of course, was meeting my two scholarship students at the time, Herlinda and Natalia. And that was just wonderful because we began to develop our relationship, and it just meant so much to meet them in person. After seeing what the living conditions were like, I wanted to go back and build a home. St. Luke's was starting a building site, a building project in March of 2020. So, March of 2020, we were starting to hear about the COVID virus and how it was up in Seattle. So I said to Rob, we should really lay low, we should go up to the cabin, we should go up to the mountains and try to be isolated. So on March 5th, 2020, the very first case in Colorado was in Summit County at Keystone Resort, the same day that we were up there skiing. I decided I shouldn't go on that March trip, and actually the trip didn't happen. And while the trip was supposed to be going on, it turned out the first few cases of COVID appeared in Guatemala. So things really changed. Businesses closed in Guatemala, schools closed, the nutrition center closed. This was really difficult for the Guatemalan people. So the fact that their housing is compromised and water can be difficult, sanitation and the nutrition, Pura Vida really stepped up to help mitigate these problems. And now we're continuing to do that, even though the pandemic is starting to lift. There are homes now that are being built virtually by local teams on the ground. The Nutrition Center gave out food to people that even though they could not have people come to them. And last July 2021, the first vaccines were available. This was great because some of the first people to get vaccines were our students. They were the first in their families to get the vaccines, and more people are getting vaccinated. Our visits had been curtailed, so we decided to do Zoom visits. And I was able to manage with my laptop to connect to my newest student in Guatemala, Dianita, and we were able to meet each other for the first time. Her letters had been she was a little sad because she couldn't go to school, she couldn't see her friends. I could just tell the tone in the letters during the pandemic, kids were really getting discouraged. But after that meeting, school started to open up a little bit, and now she's back playing soccer, and her last letter was so much better than the earlier one. She's with her friends, and it's just looking better. I'm still writing to Herlinda. She had to drop out of high school for 1 year because of family problems, and then she went back and she finished high school. And then later she got married, and she just had her second baby. And all during the pandemic and during this time, she studied hard and she continued, and she just received a certificate and a diploma in the ministry. I am so proud of her. Herlinda gives me hope. I'm grateful to Pura Vida for all of these opportunities and thankful that they're able to continue their work because the need is so great. Thank you.
Lynn. Yeah. you take from that, I am so proud of her. Herlinda gives me hope. Okay? Hope returned to Lynn from the hope that Herlinda has, the opportunities to attend school, to get her diplomas and get her certificate. All right. Like Lynn, I hope that you will seriously consider and be moved to sponsor and develop a connection with a child that's just waiting for a chance to go to school. Okay. While we wait for the tallies of your donations, I want to remind you that Pura Vida continues to make things happen in Guatemala, and your donations make Pura Vida happen. Okay. This is a very important program to me personally, is the student sponsor program. In an area where most children get a very basic primary education, where girls actually average roughly a second grade education. Pura Vida has and continues to provide a path to education that helps the students better prepare for a brighter future for themselves and for their families. Now, for less than $1, I'm an old sales guy, I always take it to the lowest common denominator. For less than $1.40 a day, what is that, about a third of a small coffee at Starbucks? Kind of, sort of. $42 a month, all right? You can make a child's future brighter, okay? You can help them move their opportunities in life and to emerge with hope. Now, if you're unable to commit to a full scholarship for a child, which is about $450 something a year, if you can't, that's fine, all right? Even a small portion gets lumped together with other donors to keep the kids in school and try to keep them going. Your one-time donation to the Unsponsored Student Fund. It has been pretty hard hit over the last 3 years of trying to keep kids in school. So again, go to the Pura Vida website, puravida.org, and look at the students that are just waiting for that opportunity. Sponsoring or helping sponsor a student can develop into a long-time habit. The student letters that I personally receive, and my next one's come in December, and I'm so excited to see how the girls are doing. You'll be connected not only to that student, but to the family as well. I can share with you that meeting the student and their parent, now I've been down there 8 times, and to meet with a student and meet with their parents, I have like 3 words of Spanish I can do, and they have like 3 words of English that they can do. But we don't need there. There's a commonality in those kids that you can see and you can hear and you can express when the parent comes up to you. To see the joy in their eyes of their kids' accomplishments. And I'm not exaggerating. These tear-filled eyes when they know that this hope has been given to their child. All right, it has a profound effect. It really does. And to meet them, even if you don't meet them in person, it does send it. So I'm going to ask you to kind of move your attention to the following video and see some of these kids. I get a little emotional when I see those little faces. Speaking of long-term habits, I'd like you to hear from one of Pura Vida's longest long-term sponsors, Mr. Ray Miller. Ray had hoped to be here this evening to speak to you in person, but he sends his greetings and his regrets that he is unable to attend. Ray, if you're watching this evening, buddy, I hope you're feeling better and heal up quick. He sent this along and asked me to read it. This was one of the improvs I was telling you about that we got in the last 48 hours. So from Ray. I first fell in love with Guatemala in 2007. It was my first experience working on a house for a Methodist minister. Fortunately for that house, I was only allowed to lay a few bricks for a few minutes, and it remained standing. It was while I was working there that I met Kimberlyn and Zulni, the children of the pastor, and Johandro, a relative living with them. I learned that they were not going to school because they did not have the necessary funds to do so. I was moved to commit to being their sponsor for school, and that was the beginning. For several years they attended school, and I always enjoyed with them when I would go to Santa Cruz del Quiche. But the father decided that they were needed at home or needed to get a job. That was my first experience of heartbreak in Guatemala. These children had become part of my family. Johandro even called me his father. I wanted so much for them to continue their education so their lives would be expanded with opportunity. The children of Guatemala are the main reason I was drawn there, spending much time there through 2014. Something there still brings me joy, but also longing a return, something I can no longer do. I love the children playing games like Pato Pato Ganso, quite an effort running up with them when you're age 74. There was also Follow the Leader, up and down the slope with me as the leader. Meeting hundreds of children and youth during the 2 years I attempted to teach English at the John Wesley School made me quite aware of how the kids in that country are no different than those here, except for a lack of material things. Let me tell you about one student I had in 6th grade. His name was Jonathan. I was his sponsor. He was a star pupil, always doing his homework and scoring high in his exams. I was able to attend his high school graduation. It would be my last trip to Guatemala. Now in his 3rd year at university, he is headed toward a career through which he will be able to help the people of his country. Johnny, like all the students with whom I have communicated, expressed how difficult school was during the pandemic and with virtual classes and the inability to socialize. Now that in-person learning is resumed, the letters I receive are much more upbeat about school. Meanwhile, over the past 16 years, students I have sponsored have come and gone. I don't know how many. Side note, we do. 21 students he sponsored during that time. Back to Ray. I've always been able to rejoice when progress was achieved, academically or in some other aspect of life. Grieve when the death of a family member occurred. Share concern when a serious illness of a parent or grandparent was reported, and feel the struggles that they had with their studies. We shared our lives through the letters we exchanged. I grew to love the students, even those I had never met face to face. Now, Guatemala is a country with some problems, as you know. However, I can still see the crowds on market day where I learned to push little old ladies aside to get through. Riding by bus, by tuk-tuk or car through the beautiful countryside. I remember the great mountains, the volcanoes, and the pristine lakes that were everywhere. And of course, there is the garbage thrown along the roads that are so rough to traverse. Black smoke emitted into the air from the trucks and the buses. But this does not have to diminish my experience in Guatemala. How can one not love Guatemala, especially the children and the youth? I know I do. Thank you, Ray. And now, yes, please do. Come on up, Jerry. I'll go this way so you can have that one. I'd like to introduce Jerry Buchholz and to share with you his own personal experiences, both sponsoring and working with students. Jerry began participating in the English camp, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In about 2014 and has made 6 trips to Guatemala that I'm aware of.
Yes.
Jerry and his wife, Donna, have sponsored 1 student through high school graduation and currently sponsoring a middle school student and an elementary student, correct? Currently serving as treasurer. Jerry was elected to the board in 2016.
Thank you. Dave copied my speech. So Originally I was going to say that usually when the treasurer is introduced, that means that we're going to have a PowerPoint with graphs and charts, and we'll talk about things like ROIs and ROEs and P&Ls, but we're not going to do that. So bear with me as I kind of have to ad-lib this a little bit, because I don't want to repeat what Dave said and what Lynn said. But the sponsorship of a child in Guatemala is so very important. And what hasn't been said is that in the newspaper, in the Post, just within the last couple of days, there was an article about how behind our students in this country are in math. Can you imagine if you have your homework with no teacher, no internet, a parent who may not even read, and yet you have this homework and you struggle to do it and you turn it in once a month? Bless these children for having the tenacity to stay after it in the situation. We heard all kinds of complaints during COVID pandemic about places that were internet deserts in the United States, in cities, in Denver. Guatemala is an internet desert, by and large. These families' electricity is a luxury, let alone the internet. And yet these children that Dave talked about and those sponsorships that we have, they made it work. And they make it work because of the passion that Pura Vida has to make it work. That is the passion. Now, I'm not going to tell a lot. I'm going to tell one story. I have to tell one story. And my pocket will buzz if I go over. But I have to tell you one story. We talked about meeting your students. The first student that that Donna and I sponsored lived in Lamoa, which is just down the street, or really up the hill through a cornfield, from where we taught in the English camp at the Methodist retreat in Lamoa. One of my visits, and I can't tell you which one because at my age, they kind of all blend together, but one of my visits, her mother, she was in our English camp, but her mother came down through a cornfield in a driving rain to thank me for supporting her daughter in school. That is how much your sponsorship means to these families. Now, let me move on to talk a little bit about English camp. Some of you may be more familiar than others, but Joanna Cook and Ray Miller got together, and I'll let Joanna tell you the whole story, but they got together and decided that 1.5 hours a week was not enough English study time, not enough time to learn a language. Now, Joanna speaks French and studied all kinds of languages. She's a lot smarter than I am, but she recognized that they're never going to learn to speak English. And so they collaborated on developing the English camp. Our first trip was in 2014. Since that time, through 2019, the curriculum, if you will, has evolved. And the current curriculum, and we don't know what it'll be going forward, but the current curriculum, basically we have the high school students come in the morning, and the middle school students come in the afternoon, and we immerse them in English for a half a day every day for a week. And I can tell you that from year 1 to year 6, the development of some of those students is amazing. And you have to keep in mind that where they are in the Highlands, in the central highlands of Guatemala, Spanish is not their first language. Quiche is their first language. They learn Spanish when they go to school because their instructions at schools are in Spanish. So here we come along, we're going to teach them a third one. I cannot explain to you the picture of how eager these children are to learn and what a great experience it is. We have English camp scheduled for 3 years. We weren't able to go because of COVID. We're going in 2023. June, I believe is 19th is the week that it starts. If you have any questions about that, check with Janie Williams or myself or any other board member. We'll be happy to discuss it with you. But that English camp, every board member at Pura Vida has passion. Most of us have passions for several of the things that we do. But everybody has that one passion that's special. And mine is the English camp. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah. All right, I've been handed a note. Just to let you know that you are not alone this evening. There are at least 20 people watching online, including from Guatemala. So, hola. That's one of my 3 words. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have some thanks here. I have seen some board members really stepping up. Thank you. It's a good start. Let's keep the ball rolling. The $2,000 commitment's already on the paddle race. Ken Fong. Ken, thank you. Betsy, very much. Bill, Aaron, he's using the checkbook, a credit card or something at home. Bill, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work. And at the $1,000 level, Janie Williams, she's out here somewhere. There you are. Oh, hi. I'm sorry, I'm staring into a bright light. I can't see anything. Jerry and Terry Hertzler, thank you guys. Good to see you. There you go, right next to her. Oh, that's right. You had to put up with those 2 growing up, didn't you? Oh, my God. Okay, and Lynn, thank you, not only for the wonderful words, but for your donation at the level. And Mary Sue Alexander, thank you. I get emotional, I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much for getting us rocking and rolling on that. So what I'm going to do now is we got those set up. We're going to open the next 2 levels. So again, break out those smartphones, break out those credit cards. We're going to open the $500 and $250 level on the paddle race. So instructions are going to be the same. You can go to the Octura. For those folks, you can use the QR code, or you can go up in that upper right-hand corner in the navigation, and it'll drop you in there. Again, it's going to help put things like education, food, nutrition for those young kids, all of that into play. So what I'd like to do now is, Ken, can we put the thermometer up there so I can see where we're at? All right, we're at 13,231. We are at 44% of our goal, okay? And I keep talking until we hit 100%, so you might want to consider what you got going here. Okay, so we're at 49% now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now again, the silent auction is still going. I think that hot chocolate bar thing is still available. You can go back on there and keep going through, and again, 5 minutes after the program ends, it's all said and done. So keep bidding. That's going on. Okay, now, what I'd like to do now is we've mentioned a lot of the programs that are kind of happening. You've kind of heard reference to not only the scholarships and the homes, but there are several other programs that Pura Vida does. And we have this beautiful video from Jose that we'd like to run now for you. Ken?
Hola, mi nombre es Sebastiana González Chicar. Estoy liderando la comunidad de Lemoa. Para este año se llevaron a cabo varios proyectos de los cuales su persona está encargada. Uno de los proyectos que tenemos es el proyecto de leche. Para este año tuvimos un apoyo de 450 bolsas de leche, de los cuales fueron beneficiadas ese número de familias. Estamos muy agradecidos por el aporte de cada uno de ustedes y sabemos que con el apoyo de ustedes y con el apoyo de Dios, este proyecto se va a llevar a cabo el próximo año. También a mi cargo está lo que es el programa de becas, de los cuales aproximadamente tenemos a 25 estudiantes activos, de los cuales cada uno de ellos pues también les agradece a ustedes por el apoyo que brindan al programa Pura Vida. En el caso de lo que son las clases de reforzamiento, su persona y otras dos compañeras, Wendy y Guadalupe. Nosotros este año fuimos a visitar las comunidades de Chichicastenango o trabajamos en Lemoa y en Santa Cruz. También vino un grupo de norteamericanos, también estábamos muy felices. Algunos niños tuvieron la experiencia de tener sus visitas con los patrocinadores y estaban muy felices de volverlos a ver después de un largo tiempo sin ver a sus patrocinadores o a los padrinos. Les agradecemos y asimismo pues Dios les bendiga, les multiplique todo el aporte que ustedes le brindan al programa Pura Vida y mis bendiciones a cada uno de ustedes.
Hola, mi nombre es Valentina Castro, encargada del Centro Nutricional. Muchísimas gracias a Pura Vida que nos apoyaron a iniciar este programa de nutrición a 26 niños. Iniciamos ya el mes de septiembre, ahora estamos en el tercer mes, pues la verdad es que los niños están aprovechando y estamos viendo de que sí ha cambiado el peso de los niños a pesar de que hemos iniciado hace poco. Al principio solo los teníamos aquí una vez o dos veces al mes, pero ahora estamos teniendo todos los días a los niños, estamos atendiendo y muchísimas gracias a todas las personas que nos han apoyado en este centro nutricional integral. Y nuestra esperanza es que también que siguen apoyándonos porque la verdad es muy importante a los niños de aquí de Lemoa.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Danilo, es un gusto poder saludarles. Acá nos encontramos en la construcción de la casita de Sebastián, de los hermanos Hernández Gámez, y me siento muy feliz. Gracias a Dios este año tuvimos bastantes proyectos, 6 en total. Ya se han entregado 3 casas hasta la fecha. Casa de Tomasa González, la casa de Juana Gómez y se acaba de entregar la casa de Juana Luarca. Ahorita está en ejecución la casa de los hermanos Hernández Gámez. También tenemos en ejecución la casa de Lucía Jorge. Y próximamente para noviembre vamos a tener en ejecución la última casa que corresponde a la familia de Juana Concepción. Nos sentimos muy felices y contentos con el equipo de construcción. Maco, Diego, siempre han estado ahí al 100%. Poniendo de su esfuerzo para poder terminar cada casa. Muchas gracias a cada uno, gracias por la labor que hacen y estamos acá para poder esperarlos con las manos listas para poder trabajar en equipo para el 2023. Saludos cordiales.
Homes, nutrition. The nutrition thing, again, is one it's kind of startling sometimes when you realize, I have a grandson that's 10, and he's like here on me. And I've been to Guatemala, and I've seen 10-year-olds that are down here. It's nutrition. And that program, just getting kids daily nutrition, is changing physically their lives. Now that helps them developmentally as well. So keep that in mind. As many of you know, part of the mission trip field experience is to work with families as together a new home is built. And in my head, in my heart, The relationship with the family is every bit as important as the construction of the home itself. I'd like to introduce you to Sebastiana. There she is. She's about 3.5. You see that bucket she's carrying? Guess what's in it? Concrete. She is insistent that she is going to help to build her new home like everybody else in her family. All right? It's an amazing story. So, what I want, hope is that you get just as excited about helping build a home as she is building hers. Okay? So, we've got that covered. Now, Pura Vida's been working with the virtual team model over the last couple of years, building homes and building hope. Pura Vida is resuming a regular schedule of trips. You've heard them mentioned. One just got back, 4 weeks ago? Who was on that? Glenn, weren't you on that? Yeah, who was on that? Okay, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, whenever it was. Anyway, trips are happening again. Families, we're getting to see students, we're getting to build homes, we're getting to build those relationships with the families again. Personally, I'm very excited. I cannot wait for 2023 trips to get here. So now, as we look at this, we're going to look at an update on the 2022 projects.
Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, Pura Vida conducted in-person work trips to build homes for families in need of a safe and healthy place to live. These in-person trips were canceled during the worst of the pandemic. Then in 2021, Pura Vida began conducting virtual work trips so that we could continue providing homes. The virtual trip members contributed funds to pay the local construction team and for materials, and got daily and weekly updates on construction progress. We'd like to introduce you to Juana and her family, who received one of these homes in 2022.
Yo les mando un agradecimiento, un abrazo de todo corazón, porque yo no me esperaba este regalo. Para mí es un gran regalo. La verdad me pongo muy nostálgica. No sé si me escuchan la voz, pero yo también estoy mal de los bronquios. Entonces me pongo muy afónica. Igual muchas gracias por darme este regalo de la vivienda, que ya estamos trabajando en eso. Pura Vida, muchas gracias. Que Dios los bendiga siempre y que donde quiera que estén, que Dios los cuide.
Gracias por el apoyo que nos han dado, por el apoyo que me han dado con darme una beca y el apoyo que nos están dando ahora, apoyándonos a construir una casa gracias al programa de Pura Vida.
Muchas gracias por apoyarnos a hacer una casita. A los hermanos les agradezco mucho porque nos están cumpliendo el sueño de hacernos una casita allá arriba en el terreno, y muchas gracias a Pura Vida.
Now we'd like to introduce you to our construction team, who we were able to keep employed building homes during the pandemic.
Estamos muy felices de que el programa Pura Vida, aún sin los grupos que esperamos, me siento muy emocionado de los proyectos, y gracias a las personas de buen corazón que siguen apoyando, que siguen con sus donaciones. Los animo a seguir apoyando estos proyectos, a que esto siga creciendo, y nos gusta que a través de los videos o fotos ustedes van viendo dónde se va invirtiendo todo el dinero, toda la ayuda que ustedes dan. Nosotros siempre los tenemos en nuestras oraciones, y también que Dios los bendiga a ustedes por el grande trabajo que ustedes hacen.
Hola a todos, se los saludo a todos los que van a estar viendo este video. Pues mi nombre es Diego López González y soy el ayudante de MACO en la construcción. Bueno, les agradezco a todos lo que hacen por Guatemala y por nuestra área de Lemoa acá. Yo soy de acá, de Alemoa. pues me siento feliz de ser parte de este equipo. Bendiciones para todos, que Dios los bendiga.
Juana's house was dedicated on August 25th.
Por esta oportunidad, el poder llevar a cabo, tocar puertas. Sueñe, diga su palabra.
Hola. Unos 4 minutos, 4 horas.
El programa Pura Vida Guatemala se la ofrenda que viene. Y se viva con toda reverencia. Amén.
Gracias, Pura Vida, por la casita.
Did you see the look on her face when they handed her the keys? Did you see the smile when she unlocked the door to her new home? Could you feel the emotion when she stepped into her new home? That's what's being created down there. That's the hope that's happening. Some folks that are helping us out, again, some great announcements here at the $1,000 level. John Harper, thank you so very much. Glenn and Carol Hertzler, thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it. You're catching. At the $500 level, Roberta Hay, thank you, Roberta. Charlie Bouchard, thank you, Charlie. Michelle Houch, and I'm going to mispronounce it, I am so sorry. Houchkins? What she said. And Steve Kaminsky, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate that. I need my help up here. Dude, you got to catch us out. Hey, come here a second. I got to take a break. Matthew, come here. Come on up here. No, you don't have to worry about that. I'll get that. I just got to say this. Okay, turn around and face him. Come here. Let's give him our 007 pose. Ready? Go. I'll be 007. He's 003.5. So thanks, buddy. I'm just going to show us off. We look so good. Okay, you can go back. Thanks, buddy. I'm sorry, he's just been down here looking so sharp. I could only hope to look that good. You're looking awesome, dude. At the $250 level, Terry Brigette. Thanks, Terry. Think the big guy? Okay, Sam. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, guys. Lynn Heatdix, Linda and Dennis Gertenbach, and Norma Fleming. Thank you guys so much. I'm failing here epically. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to shift one more on the paddle raise. I'm going to open the $100 and the $50 levels. Again, it all helps. So open your hearts, look at putting that smile on somebody else's face, and go back to that paddle raise. So what we're going to do now is jump up. We are currently at $17,016. We are at 57%. 57%, so I'm going to encourage you to both hit the paddle raise things and start really moving and grooving on your auction items out there, because we'll be wrapping up before too long. I'm actually on schedule, which I find incredibly hard to believe, with all the improv that I've been doing tonight. So again, remember that the auction ends 5 minutes after the program's done. So the next part, I am going to call up, first of all, Janie, if you want to head on up. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my extreme pleasure to introduce Janie Williams, along with Executive Director Mark Ely and his lovely bride Leslie Ely, and 007 over here, Matthew, come on up, buddy, to hand out this year's 2022 Pure Life Award. You guys come on up.
So thank you, Dave. I love that Dave mentioned being on time. That was before he introduced me. So I do want to mention before we present this award that as we began the program, I got a WhatsApp message from Jose and Norita Fares, and they said, "Estamos con ustedes, familia Pura Vida." And then they sent a picture that you won't be able to see of their phone sitting on their table watching Dave doing the announcements. So, yes. So Jose, Norita y todo la familia de nosotros de Pura Vida en Guatemala, saludos. Dios le bendiga. Okay, so I have the honor again this year of presenting the Pure Life Award. And I'm a little nervous about it. I'm not going to lie. Last year, if you were here and were able to join us, you'll remember that during the presentation, someone whispered in my ear that I needed to stall because the yet-to-be-revealed recipient had left the room. And so this was followed by a lot of awkward moments that I'm really hoping not to repeat tonight. But it is really an honor to be able to present this award, even though my track record is not very good. About the award, in the early 2000s, Mark began the tradition of presenting the Pure Life Award at our annual gatherings. The award has traditionally been presented to an individual who has made unexpectedly significant contributions toward the work of Pura Vida, often in a behind-the-scenes or unrecognized way. This year, I am excited to announce that for what I believe is the first time, the Pure Life Award will be presented to 2 individuals. I'm really excited about this because the probability of one of them being in the room when announced it has greatly increased. So a little bit about the recipients. You may remember that in 2020, our annual gathering was completely virtual due to the pandemic. Now, this year's recipients were a key force in making this rather abrupt transition to a virtual annual gathering and online silent auction. And in 2021 and 2022, they continued to provide leadership and expertise in organizing, creating, and implementing what is now our hybrid annual gathering and silent auction. So our first recipients association with Pura Vida began with our 2006 mountain retreat in Colorado. He went on to attend 6 work trips beginning in 2009, and our second recipient joined him on a Guatemala trip with FUMC Fort Collins in 2014. She was scheduled to go on the 2020 English camp trip until the pandemic intervened. Both of these recipients sponsor students with Pura Vida's scholarship program. Bill went on to join the Pura Vida board in 2017 and became our board president in 2020. He has done a great job of keeping the board motivated and focused on the key issues at hand, and we have made great headway under his leadership. And as I mentioned earlier, Erin began helping with the silent auction in 2020 with a focus on modernizing the experience. She has logged some very serious hours since then for our annual gatherings, and we couldn't do it without her. So please join me in honoring this year's recipients of the the Pure Life Award, Erin Gleason and Bill Mastretta, who couldn't be here, but.
We're presenting a photo by Jose Fares on metal of the bougainvillea plant by the sister's house in Lamoa. So it's kind of incognito, but it has deep meanings for a lot of us. So thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys so much. What a surprise. I thought I was kind of the behind the scenes person. But I'll accept this on behalf of me and Bill. And as far as modernizing it, I know it's brought some frustration also, but it really has helped everybody make this a hybrid event, and appreciate all your patience with the online forum. Thank you so much. Thanks, Erin.
Good job. Congratulations. She has been a huge help in terms of keeping just me, and I'm just a little piece of getting this script and stuff together. She is, you know, my minion when it comes to handing me those wonderful cards and kind of keeping me on track. So to you and Bill, thank you from my heart to you too, just me personally. Well deserved. Thank you so much. Congrats. So, next, and again, we're staying right pretty much on track here. You're going to hear from some of our colleagues, our partners, students, our brothers and sisters that are the backbone of nurturing the hope that we've been talking about. These are the people, these are the families, these are the faces of the students that you are partnering with for success. You are nurturing that hope, you are helping spread the love, and you are helping share in their dreams. With that, another beautiful video from Jose, Emerging with Hope.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Kolik Kohbal.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Tenemos esperanza.
Soy estudiante de auxiliar de enfermería y gracias a ustedes es que he llegado hasta acá. Y pues este año, cuando entré a la carrera de auxiliar de enfermería, pues aprendí bastante ya que fue presencial. También durante mis prácticas en el hospital fue muy bonito porque he estado pues dando mis prácticas y también estoy contenta porque ayudo a las personas que lo necesitan. También tengo la esperanza de que voy a tener un buen trabajo y también así ayudar a mi familia.
Les estamos enviando a cada uno de ustedes un saludo muy cordial, un saludo muy afectuoso allá en los Estados Unidos por el aniversario del programa Pura Vida. Quiero comentarles a todos ustedes en esta oportunidad que acá en Guatemala la pandemia casi ha desaparecido, a Dios gracias. Quiero aprovechar este momentito para que ese abrazo fraternal va también de parte de todos nuestros niños, de todos nuestros jóvenes y de todos los profesores del Colegio Evangélico Metodista John Wesley, como también de todas aquellas personas que han sido beneficiadas con una casa. Tenemos esa viva esperanza de que ustedes nos puedan visitar, no solo en el presente año, sino que también en el año 2023. Esperamos en Dios que también en el colegio John Wesley las clases ya sean totalmente normales con la presencia de todos nuestros alumnos, y cuando nos quieran visitar en este proyecto educativo, nuestros brazos están abiertos para recibirles a ustedes. Así es de que renazca la esperanza, que se renueve la esperanza, y les esperamos a todos mis distinguidos hermanos. Un abrazo para todos y gracias.
Mi nombre es Anselma Medrano, directora de la Escuelita del Caserío Rosario. Serán bienvenidos y los esperamos con los brazos abiertos. Pues el próximo año esperamos y confiamos en Dios que todo esto cambie. Yo sé que en estos 2 años pues no tuvimos la visita de ustedes por lo mismo de la pandemia, pero gracias a Dios las cosas se están normalizando, pues ya los niños están en las aulas y es una experiencia muy bonita y para ellos también. Así es de que el próximo año nuevamente los esperamos. Muchas gracias, reciban un cordial saludo y un enorme abrazo. Gracias.
Cada una de las familias les agradece, quizás no personalmente, pero les agradece a ustedes por el apoyo, y asimismo tenemos la esperanza y la fe en Dios de que esta situación de COVID va a pasar, y con el apoyo de Dios pues lo vamos a ir superando poco a poco. En el caso de los estudiantes, cada uno de ellos tuvieron varios desafíos a lo largo de estos años de pandemia, pero ya poco a poco los hemos ido superando sin la ayuda de Dios. Pero en el caso de los estudiantes, ahora ellos están ya recibiendo sus clases híbridas. Algunos colegios están trabajando híbridos, ya las escuelas oficiales o institutos, el caso de ellos van ya de lunes a viernes. Si el grupo es muy amplio, los han dividido en 2 grupos, la mitad de la mañana un grupo y la otra mitad de otro grupo. Entonces ya poco a poco la situación de COVID pues lo hemos estado superando, y tenemos la esperanza de que en un futuro pues todo esto pues lo dejemos atrás. Bien sabemos de que nuestras vidas ya no van a ser lo mismo, pero con la ayuda de Dios todo es posible y lo vamos a ir superando.
Especialmente al programa de Pura Vida, que muchísimas gracias por ellos. Iniciamos este centro ya con los niños presencial, porque anteriormente, como yo decía, de que al principio solo los teníamos aquí 1 vez o 2 veces al mes, pero ahora estamos teniendo todos los días a los niños, estamos atendiendo, y de verdad muchísimas gracias a Pura Vida, y esperamos que también nos siguen apoyando para más adelante, porque sí, la vida del niño es importante, apoyarlos desde esas edades.
As the countries down here emerge from the pandemic, everyone is emerging with a lot of hope that the country will be back to normal, that people will come and visit, that people will come and serve. Am I hopeful? I am hopeful. Should you be hopeful? Absolutely. You should be hopeful. The kids are back in school down here. Chicken buses are running up and down the roads like crazy. Let's help them with their hope. Come to Guatemala. Come and serve. It's time.
I'm privileged to present Jerry Hertzler to follow up on his comments. I think you were supposed to wear your hat, though, weren't you? Where's the hat?
I'm having Jerry come up.
Okay, come on up, Jerry. Yeah, I'll find you a hat. Come on up.
I'm Glenn Hertzler.
Yes. Okay. I blew it, didn't
That's true. We get confused. So I know what you're all thinking. Why do they have an old guy in a floppy hat talking about hope? Well, I thought if I got cleaned up a little bit tonight, I'd gain a little bit of credibility, at least from those of you who don't know me. But that's not going to happen. I can see that. So I'm up here anyway. So I'm gonna talk about hope a little bit. I've been thinking about hope. You know, what is it? How do we get it? What happens when you have it? And I think in our culture, for me, I think of hope as kind of wistful thinking about things that would be nice if they happen, but really don't have a big consequence on your life. Like, I hope the Broncos can score a couple touchdowns on Sunday. Or I hope it doesn't rain because I just washed my car. Things like that. Or, like Bruce thought, I hope a basin gets some snow so we're not all on that little strip of death, the man-made stuff. Well, that's one kind of hope, but I think there's another kind of hope. And it's a hope that is a strong belief in an expectation. And people have that when they have a history of their hopes coming true. And a hope like that would be, for me, I hope my daughter has a healthy baby girl. What gives me that confidence, that strong confidence of an expectation? She's young, she's healthy, she has a husband that's young and healthy, and they've done things during their pregnancy to give that child the best hope, the best chance for a healthy life, a healthy delivery. So that's the kind of hope that I think we have from our friends in Guatemala. And where do they get this confident, strong belief in their expectations? Valentina gets it because she's serving dozens of little kids and their mothers down in Guatemala in a facility that is supported by this organization. John Wesley School. They go into that building every day, and there's multiple plaques on the walls with names commemorating the people from another country whose generosity expanded the school to fulfill the educational aspirations of the families in Guatemala. Some of those people are here tonight. Sebastian and Elizabeth and Christina, what gives them hope? Because the building I was standing in was their home, that people here and others financed and went down and helped build. So that's the kind of hope that is down in Guatemala. And what gives them hope are organizations like Pura Vida and people like you and people like me, us. We're kind of in the hope fulfillment business. We're in the hope fulfillment department. And it's the things that we do, the steps that we take, we show up. And us showing up fulfills the hope of so many people in Guatemala. So what do you say? Let's show up. Like the old guy in the floppy hat said, it's time. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right. As we wind down the program, just a few notes and just a little bit of personal reflection from me. So, update on the special auction, silent auction. Remember that when the end credits go, the clock countdown starts. You got 5 minutes, so you can go ahead while I'm, again, blathering here to go ahead and hit those items up and get them out of the reach of your nearest competition. Now, because this will be available later on for others, if you want to share this, invite people to come and watch the program. They can fast forward through the parts that I'm doing and get to the good stuff. But for them and for you, you can place a donation at the Pura Vida website anytime. There's a donation tab there. If you suddenly get that call or that nudge, please go to the Pura Vida website and feel free to drop some tonight, any night in the future. Also, please make sure that after you've won all those amazing things out there that you do the checkout. Don't check out on me, check out on on that same Octria website and get that taken care of. If you're here tonight and you won something, you can clear it out with Aaron over here and take it home with you this evening. For those of you that may be waiting or are online watching and won something here, pick up for those items. We'll be here at St. Luke's this Sunday from 1 to 3. All right? Here, Sunday, 1 to 3 to please come and pick up. Those that are taking care of shipping, the folks that are handling the auction, will take care of the shipping aspect with you. Okay? So a couple of thank yous. First of all, again, to my amazing minion who's kept me on track here and her sidekick back at home. Thank you guys so much. St. Luke's United Methodist Church, thank you so much for lending us your facility and your technical equipment and everything else, which brings me right to Ken and Sam. Thank you guys for all the technical expertise. We really appreciate it. Obviously, give them a big hand. Okay. And thank you. Thank you here. Thank you the folks at home. We appreciate all that. It's because of you, because of your donations. I mean, face it, we're here to ask for your money. Okay, it's your donations that amazing things are happening. You've seen just some of it tonight. Because of you, it's education. It's a home. It's 6 homes. It's milk. It's medical intervention. It's a nutrition center. It's blessings, it's tears of joy, it's grace, it's faith in other people, and now it's hope. And with your help, these amazing things are going to continue to happen, and not just happen, they're going to grow. That's always been the goal, is to grow, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So thank you again for your time, your attention, your donations, and you're answering that nudge to make the world a better place. And I always like to quote Dr. Seuss, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. Thank you, and good night.